This is NONSENSIBLE.
Welcome back to a bunch of guys chilling.
Yeah.
Bunch of guys
chilling like a villain.
Chilling like a villain.
It's of course it's myself, Sam Hammington here again.
And Dave.
Saul Goode.
Woo.
It's interesting the difference between Woo and Saul. No.
Size difference, voice difference.
You do have the size difference, but for me, it's for people out there listening right now. It's the voice difference.
Yeah.
Will you do an impression? I swear I won't get offended. Do an impression, an overly exaggerated impression of my voice.
An overly exaggerated impression of my voice.
See?
You just
And then Woo's talking like this. He's like the Mr. T of Korea.
I broke somebody's finger.
I'll break your finger, man.
I really didn't. I used to not believe that I talked the way that people say I talk. But like Dave is one example.
You sound
guys, baby.
dude, you sound like Steve-O.
Yeah, someone told me that.
Oh,
Jackass.
yes.
From Jackass, you sound like Steve-O.
Hang on, let me close my eyes. You just say something. And
yeah, dude.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Saul.
You just change your voice slightly.
No.
I'm trying to sound tough.
I can see Steve-O. I can definitely hear Steve-O on that
sounds
voice.
like Steve-O, yeah.
Yeah.
This one time I got a tattoo of my face while I was on a speedboat.
It's kind of cool though. I think it's like when you look at a lot of like rap groups out there as well, a lot of artists have distinct voices, and when you put them together, it kind of makes it a lot more harmonious. If everyone's got the same voice and you're listening to that on a track, sometimes it can just sound like crap.
Yeah.
Like you look at A Tribe Called Quest and you've got, both of them have distinct voices, and when you're listening to them rap, it just brings so much more to it. I think the two of you, in terms of that, are like peas in a pod when it comes to the voice.
You rap, bro? Should we start a crew?
Let's do it.
You can handle the
Let's
dancer.
talk about stabbing and breaking fingers.
I'll write some of your raps. You can teach me some dances. Right now, all I can do is fucking K-Daddy tune.
Have you done anything like in terms of security work?
Security work?
Yeah.
What do you mean security?
Like you've been a bodyguard at
a bouncer.
A bouncer at a club.
Yeah.
I could definitely see you.
That was like
Hiring you.
somewhat like my first job in Korea.
You're a bouncer?
I was like doing like the multi-working club back in the days. That's involved in the club.
Did you like being a bouncer?
Did I like being a bouncer?
At the time, of course.
At that time? I don't think so because Dave knows, but Hongdae used to be crazy back in the days.
Yeah.
It was a different place.
Hongdae was like, okay, when I first came to Korea, it was 1998.
Wow.
And I came here as an exchange student. And back in the day, Itaewon was like chaotic back then.
My buddy's girlfriend had this crazy story about when she was young. I wish I probably shouldn't. Never mind. Let's cut this. I can't talk about that in Korea.
That's all right.
Maybe
we
I
can
shouldn't
keep
talk
that
about
in because
anything.
you didn't go into anything.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
But I was going to kind of go on a direction of talking about, hey, being, you've done like security, kind of like bodyguard stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to throw it. All right, here's a question for everyone. What's the worst job you've ever had?
So I was the laundry guy when I was in juvenile hall. So I had to do laundry all day. I think that was like the worst job probably.
It's nasty, right?
That wasn't a job by choice, though, was it?
Yeah, it was kind of like by choice. You could choose when you're in there.
But could you choose not to have a job? Could you say, I don't want to work, I just want to lie in bed all day?
Well, I think so. I can't really remember exactly, but I wanted to get out the dorm. So, yeah, so I was doing working at the laundry place. It wasn't really nasty. Like, I wasn't thinking that far. You know? I was just happy kind of to be out. But if I think back now, I don't think you want to do that all day.
What were the job selections?
Like, you could work in the kitchen and
You
the
like
laundry.
a janitor?
Yeah. And
Did they make license plates? Because in the movies, they make license plates.
But everybody
in jail.
wanted to work in the kitchen, so like it wasn't that many places, Yeah. So
Is
you
that
could
so you
eat
get
a little
extra
bit of
food?
food. Yeah. So I just took the laundry.
What you saw? What's your worst job?
I've never really had a job that I didn't like. I had one. Well, I mean, I've had jobs that I guess really sucked looking back on, but I kind of like always look for the bright side in it. Like my first job when I worked at a Food Lion, which is just like the local grocery store where I'm from. It was cool because I got to sell my friends beer. And, that was like hard to come by when you're like 14 and in North Carolina. And then, I had like other weird things that I had to do at jobs. Like I worked for the Autism Society and there were like some definitely really, really rough experiences that I had there. But it was like the most rewarding time of my entire life in terms of, being able to really help some people out who really needed it. And other than that, just like teaching here, I really loved. And,
That's cool.
And rapping here, rapping is like, I have to do it. And I've been lucky enough to call that a job for a while. You like your job a lot, don't you?
It has its ups and downs. It gets miserable when you have to, at this point, I'm not doing content for me more than I'm doing content for, for what my viewers want. But when I was 17, I worked at Walmart, and that had to be my worst job ever. I hated working.
What did you do at Walmart?
All right, so I went through 3 different positions. At first, I was the cashier boy, and man, people are mean, man.
Jeez,
People are mean at Walmart, man. Like hurry up and bag. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm.
Were you were the cashier or were you the bag boy?
I had to do both. There were just different days. At that, I just wanted, money. I just wanted my own money, and I did shopping cart where you would get all the shopping carts and then push them back into the big shopping cart line. I hated that, man. But it was cool because I got some fresh air sometimes, and I worked at the video game section. And
you liked that probably?
No, I hated that the most.
What?
Yeah, I hated that the most because you think you're working at a video. I love video games, so you think you'd be like surrounded by video games and gamers. No, it was pretty much 95% of the time it was just mothers like demanding me to pick games for their kids. And asking me like the content that's in the games and stuff like that. And it was, they never listened to in the end. So it was just me picking some kid's horrible birthday gift that he doesn't want. Like, I know the kid wants to play like
Mortal
Kombat or something, but I end up choosing like SpongeBob Adventure for him for Game Boy Color. And I know the kids don't want that, So I'm just like, whatever.
You thought you got promoted to the video game section. It was going to be the best move of your Walmart career.
It was the worst.
Yeah. Mommy's going to get what she wants to get. Yeah. Doesn't matter what Dave says. It doesn't matter
what I say. Yeah. What about you, Sam? What was the worst job you ever had?
The worst job I ever had was I had a job working at a butcher. And my job was to clean the trays. When you go into the butchers and they've got trays of meat, each different cut, and you've got the sausages and you've got the lamb. And so those trays that they sat on, that was my job, was to clean all the blood and all that crap off them every day after school. And it was probably my first job I ever had. My first real job was at a shopping mall in this butcher shop. And I went in there and all you do in the back, you just be washing. The worst thing about it wasn't even the job, because at that stage of my life, I was like, I just want to make some money, whatever. It's a job. I can make some money. The worst thing about that job was I got fired. And the reason I got fired was because I took too long cleaning the trays. I was trying to get them as clean as possible. But and maybe that meant I took a little bit longer than I should have. But it was like, my job's to clean, and I didn't realize I had a timeline within which I had to achieve that job. It's not like they said, hey, we want all these trays cleaned in 30 minutes. I'm like, I'm getting paid by the hour, and I want to make sure they're spick and span.
Yeah.
But yeah, they thought otherwise, and they said, maybe you're not appropriate for the job. And that's why I said, you know what? I was going to quit anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people do when they lose a job. I think I've done that too.
Yeah, it's not.
I wonder, did you have like aspirations to become an actor before you came here, or a TV personality before you came here?
I had no aspirations to work in the industry here whatsoever.
Like as like a 14-year-old kid, fuck y'all, I'm moving to Korea. Me and my babies are gonna be famous.
No, see. It's kind of weird because I grew up. My mother was. She worked in musical theater, and then she worked in television as a casting director and a producer. So I grew up in that environment. And I started acting in Australia like as a 4-year-old. So I was performing
Whoa.
like throughout elementary school, and then when I think I went to middle school, I kind of stopped. And my mum, as I was growing up, she's like, actors, they're like out of work 70%, if not more of the time.
Yeah.
So, you've got to get a real job. When you don't have a role, you're going to be waiting on tables. So get an education. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. And
Were you a good student?
I was a shit student. I turned 18 in my final year of high school. And in July, that's when my birthday is. And 18 is the legal age that you can drink alcohol in Australia.
Yeah.
I was drinking every other weekend, like before I turned 18. As soon as I turned 18, every weekend I was out drinking when I should have been at home studying.
Yeah.
And it just destroyed my career path in terms of education. But back to the story, just even getting into the industry here, I just kind of fell into it. It wasn't I had no expectation to be working in television and film here in Korea.
Yeah.
But everywhere I went in Australia, everyone's like, "Oh, you're Jan Russ's son. You're Jan Russ's son. You're Jan Russ's son." I had no name. Like I was famous for being my mother's son,
And now you're
because she was so recognized within in the industry.
and now you're
Was
William's dad.
Thanks for pointing that out. Thank you. Yeah.
Was she on the TV show that you were on when you were 4?
No. She was, but when she got into casting, I was on some of the TV shows that she was working on. And yeah, I guess that was part of it. She was so renowned in the industry that everyone knew her.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just famous
She
for
casted
that. She cast Russell Crowe in like his
it's
first
crazy, yeah.
show in Australia.
Wow, that's wild.
She
That's wild, right?
discovered Guy Pearce, Kylie Minogue, like Hugh Jackman. She signed Hugh Jackman for
It's
a contract,
crazy.
and she broke the contract for him because he was going to drama school.
That's
so
unbelievable.
she kind of like set the career for some of Australia's biggest actors.
That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, growing up, I'm like, Mum, get me a job on your TV show. And she's like, no, you're going to have to come in and audition like everyone else. And I'm like, well,
That's cool of her though. She didn't spoil you.
yeah. No, at the time I was like, that's just a shit job of being a parent. I'm
Yeah.
like, shouldn't you be helping your child out?
Yeah.
But as I get older, and now that I'm a parent, I'm like, it's the best thing she could have
Yeah.
ever done.
Yeah.
If she's like, yeah, sure, I'll give you a job on TV. It's like, you would never have appreciated it, putting in the effort and the hard work, and being able to do it on your own is just so much more beneficial, and you get so much more out of it.
Ooh, can I bring up your previous acting role?
Oh,
Yeah, I did like small movie and like small music videos, just like little acting because
played a gangster.
yeah, I kind of play something like that.
Yeah.
I usually play like little parts like that. I think I've been studying acting for a little bit, but
You
like
think?
these days I'm more like studying films.
Studying films is in
I was studying acting like a couple of years
Cinematography
ago.
side.
Yes, yeah, I'm
Okay.
like studying really deep these days.
So how did you end up? Is it weird for me to ask you? Because I bet a bunch of people who are listening to this already
Mm.
know. But how did you end up doing it here then?
I completely fell into it. Someone, a friend of mine at the time knew a producer who was looking for a non-Korean person that could speak Korean to go on a quiz show. And I'm like, I'll do it for shits and giggles. I'm like, just for a bit of fun. It wasn't anything serious.
So this was before Gekun.
Yeah, it was well before Gag Concert. And I did that, and then there was someone there who's like, I'm a manager, and give me your details, I'll get you some work. And then one thing led to another. And for me, it's just been opportunity after opportunity, and it almost feels like it's been fate. Like I haven't gone out there and proactively said, I want to be on television. I want to do this. It was never that. And it just got to a stage in my life where it was something I enjoyed doing, and it was something that I was getting enough regular work with that I could make it a full-time profession.
Yeah.
Um,
And were you just like doing the bar stuff and
that was just a side gig. Even when I was doing like television, it was like, it makes sense to invest in a business of some sort.
yeah.
It makes sense to do that, but in reality, it's probably something you shouldn't do. You kind of focused on too many different aspects. You've got a business, you have to do, radio show, you have to go and do this TV show. It's hard to juggle them all. So yeah, business was just something we got rid of.
Well, you know what I was just thinking about too? A lot of the people that are listening to this, watching this, or whatever, like, yes, everyone in Korea knows who the two of you are. But I mean, maybe some of the like new international listeners who like aren't in Korea, like I felt stupid for asking that question at first.
No.
But then like nobody there, I mean, it's not like everybody in other countries knows what you guys do.
My philosophy in life is there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah.
And, you've got a question and there's probably 10 other people that want to know the answer to that question as well.
And so if people don't know what he does too, he's like a crazy YouTube celebrity here also. Like, how did you start doing that?
Well, honestly, man.
He started doing it by sticking his phone on the wall with sticky tape.
Yeah.
Really?
And taking videos.
Yeah, I used to
take his phone to the wall.
I don't like to go back to that time period because it's pretty embarrassing. I used to do a lot of
Please go there.
I used to do a lot of cringy videos. Like at the time it was like I'm first generation YouTuber in Korea. I'm a first generation. In 2013, Koreans were not watching YouTube. Koreans were on Facebook. YouTube wasn't even a thing in Korea. So
what was the first video you ever did? It was you sitting on a toilet, wasn't
it
it?
It was about you actually. I was imitating you.
That's wild.
My first video I ever did was imitating Sam Hammington.
Really?
Yeah.
If I pull it up right now on Facebook, on YouTube,
that video went viral of me imitating Sam Hammington, and
really,
that's unbelievable.
It was a 각도의 중요성.
The importance of angles.
Yeah, and but honestly, man, like. At the time, I just wanted to be a TV personality in Korea, but I soon realized that TV is not for me.
Yeah, you've told me that a bunch of times.
I saw Dave on TV, and he said something like,
"I didn't say it; they said it." It was a chamak.
Oh, really? It was something like the most famous non-Korean in Korea, or someone with the most followers on the internet, or something like that. And I saw that, and I'm like,
and he was just like, "Who the fuck is this
Here
guy?"
we go.
He
talked
I'm like, shit about me, and I was like, I didn't say it.
I replied to something, and I'm like, oh really? Is that what you think, or something?
No,
like that?
What you did was you got on your very public Facebook page, and you said some foreigner on TV thinks he has the most followers on blah blah blah, but look at my page, way more followers, and it was the most immature. Rude thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was so petty.
How long ago was this?
It's 2013.
Yeah, okay.
And the thing is, I didn't even say it. The MC said it, and it was in chamak. And Sam took that and just shat on me. And I literally replied, I'm like, dude, I'm a huge fan actually. I didn't even say that. And Sam was like, oh, my bad.
Yeah, he was actually pretty good about it.
I was like, it wasn't even my intention. That's their concept of their show, Like,
and then we ran into each other on the street in Itaewon.
Itaewon, yeah.
And it was just a random
And you
thing.
broke his finger.
No, but I used to be so envious of Sam, man, back in the day. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a TV personality. And then I realized that TV, it takes a different kind of skill.
Yeah.
You pretty much have to, I guess, first of all, you have to be selfish. Not in the way, not personality wise, but you have to be ruthless on TV. If you want to, make yourself known on TV, you have to be cutting other people off. You have to jump your voice in
Unless you're one of those people that's just a natural.
Exactly.
Which it sounds like you are, because you weren't
He's
even
a natural.
trying to do that.
Sam's always been a natural.
And we've talked about this all the time, because I've seen times when Dave's been on TV and I'd look at his performance and I'd talk to him and say, maybe you should try doing this, doing that.
I'm like this on TV. Like I just sit there awkwardly analyze things and say some weird remark that makes everyone uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But people like that about me now on my YouTube because that's me. You know? People find that weird kind of off humor funny, but it doesn't translate as well to Korean KBS TV.
Mhm.
People are like, that guy is so weird and awkward and sucks on TV,
And he found it really difficult. But part of it is when you do something like YouTube, the way Dave does it, he doesn't have a big production team behind him. He was doing it all himself. So he can create what he wants. He can do what he wants, and he doesn't have a framework within which he has to work.
Dave's world.
Yeah. With television, there's, they've put a script in place. There's producers, there's writers, and they've got a vision for what they want, and you have to work within that. So for him, it's really difficult, but for me, it's something I've always done, and
he's
just
good
kinda
at it,
comes
man.
naturally.
Sam kills it, man.
You're really great at YouTube.
Well, yeah, but that's different though,
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Sam said, I can script it out. I can make it how I'm more of a producer mind than an actual TV personality.
Mhm.
I envision what I want and make it. Versus Sam can be put in any situation and just mold it into his own.
I love the idea of you getting pissed off at during a punk song.
Oh man, the PDs hated me, man. They
Yeah.
fucking hated me because I'm just like,
Didn't
I
you
can't do that.
Haven't you walked out on a show before?
Yeah, I said
It's like, I'm not doing this. I'm getting out of here.
no. They made me like we were eating hongo,
It's like
like
it's
fermented
fish
or whatever, and
skate or whatever that is. That
they told me to react
Stingray.
a certain way, and I'm like, I don't feel that way. Like,
Mhm.
but you're a foreigner, and I'm like, excuse me. I'm like,
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
like, you're a foreigner. You're supposed to react like this. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this then, and I just walked out. And the PD's like, never come back. I'm like, I don't plan to.
Is it still like that on TV?
It's not as bad anymore. They're used to foreigners now.
It's not even special anymore now. Right?
The difference is now, when I first started doing television here, a lot of the time it was, say things that you think the audience wants to hear. Oh, this kimchi is delicious. I love kimchi.
Kimchi 너무 맛있어요. 해봐.
And it was kind of like, oh, I'm so happy all the time. And that was when I first started out. And I got to a stage in my career where I was like, I felt like I was going to move back to Australia. And this was kind of my last chance. I had a show and I was just like, you know what? I don't give a shit. If I'm funny or not, I really don't care. And I was at that stage in my life where I didn't have any concerns anymore. And I think there was also just a change in the environment where it was people were understanding if you got on television and you were upset, you were angry. We're all human. You can't expect people to be on television and just be happy all the time. And the viewers they changed their expectations of what television should be as well. And nowadays, I think they just appreciate the honesty.
Mm.
So if you don't like something, people are just saying, you know what, I don't actually like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's just the way it's changed. So it's not what Dave experienced it's not like that anymore, but
Yeah.
he's had his experience. He's,
Yeah.
he's been burnt. He probably doesn't want to go back there.
He and I did I won't name the person or what we were shooting, but we shot something together one time. And the other guy who was doing it was kind of like, he'd never done something like this before, but he was kind of in charge as the host of the thing.
Mhm.
And so I'm on this side and this guy's in the middle, and the guy wasn't doing a very good job. And I was trying to lighten the mood because it was obvious that all of the directors and everything were just like, what are we doing with this guy? And Dave just looked at him and goes, do you even know where you are right now? And the guy was just like, Dave is this
You
guy's
probably
hero,
just
bro.
shattered his dreams.
Dave loved this dude. This dude loved Dave.
Oh, dream shatterer.
No,
But
dude,
it put him on his best behavior. So the world needs both kinds of people, I think. I'm too nice that this episode was going to be thrown in the trash. Dave, on the other hand, was just straight to it. Bro, what are you doing? What's going on here? And it made it work. Everyone was thankful that he did it. But that was really funny. You were all business. You know what I mean?
Dave's always all business though.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's not. He just doesn't take it. If he doesn't agree with it, he's gonna tell you he doesn't agree with it.
Yeah. Wu's giving me some lessons on that. To just keep your mouth shut and just say yes.
Wow.
At least 5 times Wu's been like, why don't you just let it go? Why do you say it? Just keep it to yourself and move on. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that. If I don't like
there-
something, I just say it.
That,
I'm not good at that. I wish I could be.
I think it just depends on the situation, like, because I was worse than him, you know?
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The fact that he's saying this, I don't quite comprehend that. It's almost saying right now you're like a Zen master. You're the guy who should be doing things like that and telling people, if someone says don't do that, you're like, I don't care what you're saying. I'm just going to break your finger.
But the thing about Wu is he's been through stages where he couldn't control your anger, right? Back like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah,
he told me that all the time. Like,
yeah, I had my like rough problems, and I have a personality like I keep wanting to change, or I get tired of the same situation. I think I was just really tired of those situations like that I was getting involved in.
Confrontations and stuff. Yeah.
And like I said, I was talking about the back in the days, Hongdae, and something happened in my life that I told myself that I'm just gonna stop with all this, and it just got better. You know, if I could avoid it, then I'll just avoid it. You know, but probably there's some times like I gotta tell the person or something like that. But I mean, it's still hard for me like every day. But if you could just avoid the situation, I think it's better.
When your stature speaks for itself, too, you learn that you don't have to, right? Like,
and back in the days, like
you also have to appreciate that Wu has like full sleeves of tattoos, and he's quite an imposing character. So if he says to someone, I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah.
But
the average person is going to be shaking in their boots, even if he says that in his most polite voice ever.
Well, when they're drunk, like they want to test people like us that looks like these. I don't know why.
I don't understand that either, because I remember going to Octagon when I don't know is Octagon still even in existence anymore.
Still right.
Was like at the time I went, it was like the hottest club in Seoul, and I went there and I saw Kim Dong-yeon, stun gun from the UFC. Anyway, he's a Korean UFC fighter, and he was there drinking with some of the fighters from his what do you call it? From his I want to say it's studios.
His camp.
Yeah, his
camp.
camp.
Yeah.
And this drunk guy has come up to him and started picking a fight. And I just stood there and I'm like, I'd probably had a few too many drinks. I'm like, am I seeing this right? This guy's trying to pick a fight with Stun Gun, who's like, he was like the best Korean UFC fighter at the time. I'm like, this is insane. I don't know how much you'd have to drink to get it in your head that you could physically confront a professional fighter.
I don't think it's about that. I think it's about like
his job is to pummel people's heads in.
It's the reason why people go bungee jumping and skydiving. Like, people like the thrill of putting themselves in serious danger. Like, I don't know, I've like drank a couple of times and I've like walked up to a guy who looks like Wu and been like, bro, have you ever been to a gym before? And just like,
is that what you said?
Yeah. Just like, I can show you a Helsejang, bro. Like, if you're just teasing them, but also, I guess it's also the same kind of thing. Like, I don't do that anymore. But like, it's the same as like jumping out of an airplane. You know what I mean? It's like,
so picking a fight with Wu is like jumping out of an airplane.
But you know what I mean? And it's also like, maybe it's your way. You're slightly like, intimidated by them or jealous of like something about them that they're able to be that dedicated to making their bodies look like that. And you're like, maybe I can strike up a conversation with this guy by humor, like by making a joke about how I can whoop his ass or something.
A lot of
I mean, the joke is all right, but like, before the quarantine, because I DJ also at the club, and so after I played the music, I went to the bar and I drank some water, and I was just standing there, and how in the club, like, you just get bumped into people a lot. Mm-hmm. And there was this guy, he was just like literally bumping into me. So I just went like that, for like the 5th time. And he just looked back and he was like, well, you could fight. Just like that in Korean, you could fight. I'm like, and I was with the owner of the place named DJ Wu.
You were with me. You were with me.
I was?
It was that big motherfucker.
No, it's not that situation.
Oh, that's another fight, Dave. Come on. You're not in every fight. You're not in every confrontation that Wu's been in. It was Wu and DJ Wu. It was 2 Wus. It was like a Wu-Tang Clan. Come on. It was the Wu-Tang Clan. Leave him alone.
Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, and he just looked at me and just, asked me a question. I don't know what kind of, I'm like, no, I can't fight. and I just walked out. I walked out the place. She was just looking at me like this, you know. Oh, you can fight. I'm like, no, I can't fight. And I just walked out the place. You know?
I was literally behind Wu that day. I was literally there. I was with you.
He wasn't a big guy. I don't think he was a big guy.
He was him. It was two other guys. His
I think
friends.
I know what you're talking. I think I know the situation.
And this guy
you're
was,
talking
and,
about,
he,
but
and
it's
the guy
not
looks
that,
at you and he's like, "Saul Goode," and you go,
oh,
"No."
then it's that guy.
And he goes, and then
Why did I look at him so small though?
No, he wasn't that small. He was a big dude. That's why he was him and two other dudes, and he was me, you, and
Wu
and Dongwoo Hyung.
Yeah.
And he was right, and he kept bumping you.
Oh, yeah,
and I
yeah,
said
yeah,
something to him like, man, that motherfucker's gonna get hit. I said some shit like, because it was annoying me too. Because he was not bumping into you only, he was bumping to all of us. And then you just stood there with a smile on your face. But you weren't doing anything. You were just
Master
sitting
Zen.
there. And he goes,
Really
싸우지 않냐? And you're like, 아니 못해. Like 못 싸워 or something. You said some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, let's go. And that's it.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? You know what Wu says sometimes when somebody like bumps into him really hard or messes with him or or like says the wrong thing to him. This is something Wu says a lot. Man, if this was 10 years ago. Always says that. Man, if this was 10 years ago.
Because I was like, you know, in a different look. I was like bigger, just skinhead, just different attitude, you know.
By the way, skinhead has a different meaning here than it does
Oh yeah.
in other places.
Shaved head, shaved head.
His head was bust.
Shaved head, shaved head. A bald
Yeah,
head.
a bald
Shaved
head.
head.
Yeah. That's what I mean. He's like Master Zen.
Oh,
trying
look
to
at
be.
this dude's jawline and you know he can fight.
You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I said something earlier on. I said there's no such thing as a dumb question. When that guy asked you if you can fight, that's a dumb question. That's not a question you ask. I'm sorry. That was a stupid question. That's just like, can you fight? Well, it's like asking.
And actually, I thought about it a
it.
little bit. Can I really fight? I haven't fought in so long. You know, I was really thinking about it. You know.
He caught you off guard.
Second guessing yourself. Wow.
Is it just me or is this jar not up to par?
Deja vu.
You guys want to do?
Deja vu. Deja
You
vu.
guys want to pull something out?
Pull something out of that.
Oh, this is interesting. I'm actually kind of curious.
Tell us about your first crush. All right, I'll tell you about my first. When I say first crush, it's like my first crush, proper crush, not like a elementary school. You know, I think that girl's cute, and you know, elementary school kids kind of, I've got a girlfriend. This was high school. So there was this girl. They were twins actually. They weren't identical twins though.
It's lit.
And we had like she was like my best friend. Like it was just we had this great relationship. I'd go over to her house and her mum would make me like food to eat and we'd go out and we'd drink together and we'd do everything together. We were just like it was almost like it was meant to be. But I just didn't have the confidence to ask her out. I was like, you know, what we talked about last time is that if she's like, no, I don't want to get in a relationship with you, like that would just have devastated me. That would have it would have ruined me as like, I don't know what I would have been able to have done after that. So I never said anything. I'm just like, maintain status quo. Let's maintain this relationship as friends. If I cross that line and things go to shit,
You lose a friendship.
you'll lose a friendship. I'm like, well, I'll just be happy with the friendship and tell myself when I go to sleep at night and, you know, okay, Dave, you got a crush story.
We're talking about actual real crushes.
What, as opposed to imaginary?
No, as opposed to like when we're like 9 or 10 years
Oh,
old.
no, whatever you comfortable with.
All right. Well, in high school, there was this girl, Rebecca, and I was crazy about her. She liked classic rock like me. I used to love classic rock. She liked it.
At the age of 9, you liked classic
No,
rock?
I'm saying in high school.
Oh, sorry.
In high school.
What was your favorite classic rock number?
Poison?
Nah, I was a big fan of like the
Definitely.
Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, the Who, and she liked a lot of classic rock too. And we used to have this thing called Zanga. I don't know if you guys remember. It was like you remember Zanga?
Is Zanga the same as Jenga?
No, it's not the same as Jenga. Zanga's kind of like a social network. It was kind of like MySpace before MySpace.
Oh, what?
Yeah. It was like Reddit, MySpace. Yeah.
Oh, only for like cool internet.
It was kind of cool internet nerds. And I used to follow her Zanga alone. Like she had no idea who I was. I would just obsess over this girl.
You mean you followed her and she didn't follow you back?
Yeah, she had no idea.
I thought you meant she had one
she
follower.
didn't. No,
She said she knew.
And
Nah.
she definitely knew if that was the
Nah.
case.
I used to always look at her Zanga, but she didn't even know I existed. And
That sounds. I
I
used
was
to
about
look
to
at
say,
her
I used to
Zynga.
look at her Zynga.
It's like looking at your tidbits. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that?
Did you
is
see her Zynga?
that- was so Zynga was like MySpace in that you had profile photo and
yeah,
everything.
everything. Yeah, and it showed like the kind of music she liked. She liked all the same music. She liked the Beatles and stuff. She liked anime like me. She liked video games. She was like a cool nerd kind of girl. She was really pretty. And the cool thing about this story is
Did she know you at school, or she didn't know
like,
you?
she
from
had no
dirt?
idea who I was. But I slowly started making friends with her friends. Believe it or not, she ended up becoming my first girlfriend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, snap!
Yeah, my
Okay.
first kiss and everything, man.
Ooh.
I loved her, man. And we ended up breaking up later, like a year or two later. But yeah, my first crush ended up being my first girlfriend, and I kind of slowly, found my way into her life. And yeah,
It's I can't say her name, but so there was this girl that I had crushed for about like 2 years. So we were just like, just good friends for a long time, and she had a boyfriend at that time, and I was feeling really attracted to her for just I think I was getting kind of nervous in front of her. So this one event that happened, she called me middle of the night after about 2 years, and it was like 3, and she never really calls me at that time. And so I just went to where she was. She was with her friends. But she never really calls me at that time,
Yeah.
So I think I felt a little nervous, but I don't know, she was with her friends, but she was with a bunch of her friends. And so I went, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just like a casual thing. And we were drinking a little bit, and one by one, everyone starts to leave. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone was leaving. I was like, so it was just only 3 of us left.
Almost
then-
like a setup.
Yeah, and then, but I wasn't thinking that far,
Yeah.
And she took me to another place with her friend. It was like a dark bar, and they were doing some fireworks, and a drink came out, and I drank it, and I don't know, I think that was Bacardi or something, and then I was just gone. And then I guess she saw that I was gone, and her friend was like, "Oh, I gotta go," and then left, and then something happened, and then so we got together after there was something happened, and then she told me later on that it was like her master plan and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. And it was a girl you already liked.
It was to get you drunk and seduce you.
So I guess she was feeling like the same feeling
So
that I was feeling for like 2 years.
Yeah,
This is a
both of you had a connection. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your real first real crush ended up
Yeah.
having a crush back.
Yeah.
That's tight.
But it took us a long time,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess
2 years.
That's
and then she was like, "You fell into my master plan,"
that's a lot. There's a lot of planning that goes into something like that, though. If you have to organize all your friends, and you probably have to word them up somewhat as to what's happening, because you don't want them all to stand up and leave at once, because that's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, is she sitting there giving them like a nod? You go.
I don't know.
Your turn.
But everyone was just leaving like casually, so I wasn't thinking that far, you know what I mean?
That's a great
Yeah.
plan, though. That's a
Yeah.
great
That's
setup.
tight.
I guess.
Make a movie out of it
Yeah.
someday.
Make a short film out of it.
Yeah. What about you, Saul? What's your first crush?
Let's do another one.
All right. Tell us about a time you embarrassed yourself in front of someone you admire. Oh.
Ooh.
It was like the weekend before I moved into my new apartment, my new house actually in college. And my mom decided to like drive me there because it was kind of like an old, like Victorian kind of house, It was like 5 of my friends from high school who all went to the same college. And we decided to like all move in together. And my mom decided to drive me up to school to like help me kind of like just clean around the house and stuff and get it ready before everyone came. And one of my other buddies who was going to be my roommate, he and his mother were also driving up, but about like 30 minutes later or something. So it was like an hour-long ride there. And because it was like my last night with all my like friends in town, I partied super hard. And like we're almost like one stop to the town that my university was in. And I like have to go number 2, like real bad. And I tell my mom, like, Mom, I think we need to pull over. Like I need to take a dump. And she's just like, honey, we're almost there. It's only going to be about like 15 minutes. And so I did, I admire my mother, like the thing, right? So I didn't want her to know that I can't hold my own shit. So anyways, like we're just about to pull into the driveway and I like, shit my pants in front of my mother, like front seat, car, she's driving, I'm in the front seat, and I just have to look at my mom and say, like, Mom, I pooped my pants.
How old were you at the time?
How old are you when you're going into your second year of college? Way too old to be shitting my pants.
Did she have leather seats?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a Volvo station wagon with the hot leather seats.
At least the leather seats are easier to clean than the cloth seats.
No shit, God. The shit just filled my underwear. So the poop, the poop. He called the shit poop. What movie is that? Where he called the shit poop. But anyways, so we pulled up and I just like had to run into this house to like clean myself off. But like the second that I opened the door, my buddy and his mother pulled up and I was like, oh no, now it's not just my mom who's going to catch me shitting my pants. It's my new roommate and his mother who are going to like find out what I've done. So I like ran into the bathroom and like threw my underwear underneath this like Victorian style like bathtub that was just like this high off the ground.
The claws on the bottom of the bathtub.
Yeah, like kind of like the claws, like the fake gold holding up the thing. And I'm like, I can be safe long enough while they're cleaning. This house was huge, you know what I mean? Like 5 bedrooms. So when they walked in, I was like, I got at least a little bit of time for them to like walk outside and take a break before I have to go like get rid of these underwear. Literally the second that my friend's mom walked into the house, she goes, oh my God, look at that cute bathtub. I bet it's filthy under there. Oh! And goes to like go like underneath the bathtub. And I just like ran in and was like, oh, I'm sorry. I need to use the restroom, Mrs. So-and-so. And like had to go in and carry them out, if you will.
Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was a wild time.
Wow. And what was your mother's take on the story?
I mean, she's like the best. She totally helped me. Like when my friend's mother was like going in there, she was like, oh, wait a second. You should come into this room real quick and check this out. She had my back.
Yeah, so my story is similar with yours, but so I was drunk as hell. And so I'm with the same lady that I mentioned earlier with the crush.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm still in the stage of trying to, get her to like me more. I mean, she liked me, but I wanted to impress her.
This was after the setup.
Yeah, after the setup, like a few months after the setup. So we're still going through the fire stage,
Yep.
So we went to the club together, and I guess she gave me the similar drink that she gave me to get fucked up, So I drank that, and then everything.
I think you dodged a bullet, bro.
And I felt like I was in heaven or something. I'm in a club,
She's a repeat offender, that one.
No, we should be talking about this, man. Now that it's happened twice, bro, I need to call the police.
So I'm like zoning out, like I'm not even knowing like almost where I'm at. I'm just feeling just off, and happy and off. And I don't know, I just felt this like the animal type of instinct, and I just turned and I just kissed her like just crazy. Mm-hmm. I just kissed her crazy, and I look back, and so we're kissing, and then I look up, and she's right here.
Oh no. Oh no.
Turns out that it was the same set of twins that Sam first had a crush on. And it really is all fate.
And you're watching The Truman Show.
But then she understood because it was a guy,
What?
That is
I told her, I was like, I thought it was you. She was like, oh, okay.
That is the best story ever, bro.
Was it a guy or not?
It was a guy.
So he was cool. She wasn't pissed.
Whoa. Woo, you're like the onion from hell. It's like we get one layer of woo and then we take another, and it's just like it just keeps getting better and better. Oh my! Did he have long hair?
No. It was just kind of like this, you know.
He was a skinhead.
I'm like just like this. I'm like zoning out, and then it was just like, you know, I just felt some skin on the side, you know, and of course I thought it was her, you know.
But
I'm just like this, and I just went like that. You know?
What was the guy's reaction?
He looked happy. I don't know.
I was like, what am I gonna do? Fight him? Look
His
at that
face was just
jawline.
like this. So I'm like looking at my girlfriend. And I looked at the guy, and the guy's like, it's just like that, you know.
His lucky day.
Wow, Dave, can you top that? I don't think you can.
Pissed his pants, shit his pants, made out with a dude he didn't even give a fuck.
It's gradually getting worse and worse. I'm glad I started out first.
Exactly. I don't even want to say mine because mine's not even funny. It's just depressing as hell. Like everything I say, mine's just depressing as fuck.
That could be like the theme of this podcast, like something that has to do with the gamut of emotions that are around you.
Mine's just depressing.
Come on, this has been like
all right.
It's the with Woo. We've done the loop and the roller coaster, and we're coming back to home base now.
All right, so
What have you got?
my dad's mine's depressing. So just get ready. My dad's a music producer, an amazing guitar player, session musician. You know, he's done music his whole life. His whole career is based off music. When I'm in high school, I was in high school, and I wanted to be like a rock star too. You know, that was like my dream, just to be like my dad. You know, I was obsessed with rock music back then. So I put together a band, you know, and our songs were decent, you know. I met this guy, and he was a really good singer. We put together a couple of songs, and we had a drummer. We didn't have a bass player. We picked up. We actually found a bass player, but the kid didn't know how to play bass.
Mhm.
He was a Korean kid, actually. He was a completely. He could hardly speak English, but I was like, "Bro, can you play bass?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "All right, well, act like you can play bass." So all the cool bands, like all the bands that did well at school, they would always play this one venue, you know. And it was really hard to get this venue to book you. You had to be kind of like a, you know, outstanding rock, like it was outstanding indie band at the time, you know. So we finally got this venue to book us, and you know, my dad was all excited, you know, like, you're gonna do your first show, you know, my son has a band, blah blah blah. And I sent out invitations to everyone in school, everyone I knew, like, come out, see our show. It ended up raining. The venue was empty. 0 people in the entire venue. The only people who were at the venue was my dad watching me.
That thing you were talking about? I just
Watching me super nervous.
That's depressing.
The only people watching us was the next band. And by the time the next band was about to go up, people started flocking in.
Oh man.
And the guys in the next band were super cool. They're like, it's good music, man. It's just, you know, sometimes, you know, people don't come out for you. I'm like, right. And my dad like hugged me and everything, but it was pretty freaking embarrassing. And the thing about this story is I had this story prepared from the beginning, but I didn't think he would have a funny shitting story. He would have a story where he made out with a dude.
Hey,
and
I gave you the opportunity to go first.
I should have went first.
No, I'll wait till later.
well, we can edit it too. But you know, to be
I
honest,
actually think it's funnier if it goes like this.
But to be honest, I also think that I'd rather shit my pants than have that happen.
Yeah.
Really, that was terrible.
And I acted like it was all great and everything, but I was devastated.
Yeah.
And the band and everybody kind of like slowly quit the band because, you know.
I'd actually prefer to perform in front of, you know, 100 people that didn't laugh or didn't clap and booed me than perform in front of nobody.
It was pretty miserable.
That's tough. That's tough. But they say that if you can power through that, that's, you know, one of the first lessons to becoming a professional artist.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Thanks.
you gave up.
I didn't give up. I kept trying to make music, but I ended up coming to Korea. So, yeah.
Yeah, I could relate to that in a different way.
How so?
because I was booked for some work long time ago when I was really young, when I was crump dancing. So I'm like just this big dude just doing the wild dance. I got booked for some work. And it was like my first or second work that I was booked for.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit excited in a young age. Oh, I'm gonna do a show at some place, show my dance skills and stuff like that. But the time was like 11 or 12 during the day, So I'm like, that's weird. But I went and they say it said 한강 somewhere. How do you say 한강 in English?
Han River.
Yeah, Han River. So I go. So I'm wearing like all red and black and just looking crazy, And I go and I look at the audience and there's only like one line, like one or two or something like that. And it was some type of something for like grandmothers and grandfathers, And if I was like a tap dancer or something like that, or doing lyrical or ballet or something, that type of dancing, it wouldn't have, I was getting really nervous,
Yeah.
I'm about to turn on that just hard music and just like, just like start pumping, So the music comes on and I was just dancing like crazy. I did my job and, they were just looking at me just like,
oh. Damn, man.
But after it was done, they just gave me the claps though. They were just like,
At least you got claps. There was nobody there to clap for me.
It was a strange feeling.
No one's clapping
tough.
a podcast.
I'd have been, actually.
Don't even try, Sam.
No.
Don't even try.
I think bodily functions.
Knock it off.
That was a lot less embarrassing than what he went through.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild to say that, right? That I'd rather.
I'd rather poo my pants right now than have to go through that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
well, we're not going to end it on anything worse.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right, Dave.
Thanks.
It's all right. Things are only going to get better.
There's like a million video memes that could have been made out of the past 3 hours of conversation.
And
Right?
they probably will.
Yeah.
They probably will.
I hope. I mean, there's gold in
They
this.
probably will. Of course, that's
Throw in some footage of Dave's dad just fucking shredding. And Dave just with the crying meme, the Jordan meme.
Dear me. Dear me. It
close
has
it-
been enjoyable.
Close us out, Sam.
Yeah, that was, of course, fun yet again. I'd like to thank Saul and Wu for joining us again today. Also, if you want to see the video footage, find us on Instagram, The Dive Studios, also on YouTube as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast.
And make sure to leave reviews on the podcast. The more reviews we get, the better. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll be back with more next time.
Check out Part Time Cooks too.
Check out Part Time Cooks, Killer Music, and follow Wu at Damon Wu.
Yes.
No.
Or it may be good morning, depending on what you're listening.
True. All right, guys. Thanks, guys, for coming out. All right.
Thanks,
I
guys.
thank you for
All right.
having us, dudes.
All right,
Appreciate
peace.
it. Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Hope you enjoyed the clip. If you did, listen to the full episode on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
And make sure to subscribe to this channel, Dive Studios, and put those notifications on. Hit that bell.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.